Welcome back to another class on Halacha for Women. We are in the sefer called Otzar Dinim by Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef Shlita. Today's topic is a very sensitive one only because it's going to speak about mixed seating and mixed dancing. I want to try to quote for you today what Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef Shlita has to say, what the Shulchan Aruch in Rav Chaim has to say, also the Shulchan Aruch in Yordea, what it brings down over there, to what extent do we have an obligation to listen to our parents when it comes to these events? Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shlita says, Ava mivakesh mi beno sheyavo linusei achiv. If a father requests from his son to come to his brother's wedding, והחתונה מתקיימת בתערובות אנשים ונשים יחדיו, and the wedding is going to be men and women mixed together, ואף יושבים בבגדי פריצות וכדומה, and they're even sitting with immodest clothing, ואין המשפחה מכונה לעשות מחיצה, and the family is not prepared to make a מחיצה for women one side, men on the other side, אין הבן צריך להשתתף בחתונה. The son does not need to join the brother's wedding. ויסתפק בזה שיגיע לחופה בלבד. It's enough with this that he's going to come and show his respect by attending a chuppah alone. והדבר ברור, but however he says, the thing is clear, שאם יש שם ריקודי תערובות, if there are men and women dancing together, חייב לעזוב את המקום מיד אחר החופה. He's obligated to abandon the place immediately after the chuppah. ופעמים, and at times, שעליו להימנע מלהגיע בכלל לחופה. At times, it's placed on him not to attend such a chuppah at all where there's going to be mixed dancing. כדי למנוע בחילול השם, in order to hold back a desecration of Hashem's name, שיראו יהודי ירא שמיים נמצא במקום כזה. They're going to see a Jew, a God-fearing Jew in such a place, ויעשה שאלת חכם שידון בכל מקרה לגופו. He should always consult with a chacham, with a rabbi who knows his halachot, that every single case, the rabbi should judge it individually. Listen to what Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef Shlita is saying. When it comes to the mixed seating, he says the son can still attend the chuppah. However, he says, when it comes to mixed dancing, at times it is better for the son not even to attend the chuppah. And let's say that he did attend it, he has to run away from there as fast as possible. Why am I saying this? How many people would you see or do you see today in parties where they look religious? Black kippah, white shirt, black pants, black hat. Or even if they don't have a hat, but they look religious. Who allows them to sit in these kind of places? They want to go ahead and they want to show honor. They want to show respect. They want to support the couple or the bar mitzvah or the bat mitzvah, whatever event they're attending. Rabotai, this is wrong. One is not allowed to be in a mixed seating whatsoever. There is zero tolerance for mixed weddings. Mixed bar mitzvahs, mixed bat mitzvahs, mixed brit milahs. Can you please explain this concept to me? How could it be that you can have a person help another person, and in the end that person spits in this person's face? Is that person that he helped, is he an ingrate or not? What do you think? He's an ingrate. How could it be a person puts another person on his feet, makes him who he is, and when he becomes somebody, he spits in the person's face? So you all agree that this is called an ingrate. I want to bring something to your attention. This is exactly what we do with Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us an opportunity to have a boy to do a brit milah, to have a girl to do a bat mitzvah, a boy to do a bar mitzvah, to marry our children off, Bezrat Hashem. He gives us those opportunities. And what do we say? We spit in his face by doing these kind of parties. we use that money that he blessed us with to go against him. You know, one time I had a case that where there was a couple, whatever, let's say it was a religious couple, whatever it might have been the situation. Again, when I say religious, I don't mean that the people are learned. Religious, listen, she covers her hair, she's modest, the husband goes to shul, they keep Shabbat, you know, they try to learn here and there, but not religion that they know Shulchan Aruch and they know Gemara. No, not like that. It's just, you know, observant Jews. Let's put it to you like that. So one time I asked him, I said, why do you always have these issues with your wife? Why is she always angry? I don't know, it was a whole thing. One time, Rabotai, just from the side, I picked it up. He said, Rabbi, you should know, I work on my Shalom Bayit. I said, how do you work on Shalom Bayit? He said, everything I do, I tell my wife. Everything I make, I give my wife. So what does that mean, you give everything to your wife? He says, my account and her account are shared. Okay, fine, you could have shared accounts, not a problem. I also have a shared account. It's good to have shared accounts. But listen to this. The husband was making a lot of money. And he was always drawing it into their shared account. Eventually, she opened up her own bank account. And she was taking out money little by little without him even paying attention to it. He trusted her to such an extent. Eventually, after maybe 20 years, maybe 25 years later, she cheated on her husband. She left her husband. Now, they had to fight against each other, battle with lawyers, because for the custody of the children. She used every single dime that he gave her to sue him. In the end, he lost. Sounds ridiculous. It's a true case, by the way. This is exactly the way we behave towards the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He gives us the money. We use that money to go against him. Is that normal? Are we considered to be grateful or ingrateful? We're ingrates. To be able to use Hashem's possession against him. It's one thing if you don't know. But it's another thing when you know and you try to make the wrong right. That's a very big problem. I'm not speaking right now about secular people. They don't know. Believe me, they don't know. They think it's normal. I'm happy they're doing it in kosher restaurants. They're eating kosher food. They don't know what's wrong or right. But explain to me, how can you have about 50%, 60% over there observant Jews? Explain to me that case. If all of them would say no, that party would not go through. Because if they're not coming, they don't have people, they're not making that kind of party. If each one is going to say, Hashem says no, Hashem says no, Hashem says no, Hashem says no, believe me, eventually people are going to get it. But what? We're afraid because we want people to come to our parties tomorrow. But what about having HaKadosh Baruch Hu come to our parties? We see over here today, Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shlita says, that if a father requests from his son to come to a mixed event, not mixed dancing, mixed seating event, where women are even sitting immodest, the son has no obligation to listen to his father. Listen what the Shulchan Aruch paskins in Yoredeya, in Halachot of Kibbut Avi'em. There's a very big mitzvah to honor one's mother and father. If you look into Masechet Kiddushin over there, it brings down that when a child honors his mother and his father, Hashem says it's as if you have honored me. But when a person pains his mother and his father, Hashem says, thank God I'm resting in that household, because then he would have hurt me. I'm not there. So you might ask yourself a question over here also. If the son is not listening to the father, it's causing him pain. Absolutely not. He's allowed to say no. That's why the first commandment is Anochi, Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem your God, that took you out of the land of Egypt. The fifth commandment is Kabed Adavich V'Etemecha. It's placed on the same side of the tablet with Hashem's honor, with Hashem's mitzvot. Why? Because as long as your parents don't tell you to go against the Torah, you have every obligation to listen to them. Anything they tell you, you have to listen. However, once they go against Hashem, Hashem says, now, you first have to see if it goes in ruling, if it goes with my laws. If it goes against me, you're not allowed to listen to your parents. Listen to what the Shulchan Aruch in your day in Simon Reish Mem, in Halacha Tetvav, that's Halacha 15. The Shulchan Aruch passes Halacha like this. Amar lo aviv la'avor al divrei Torah. His father told his son, to transgress the words of Torah. Ben mitzvot aseh, ben mitzvot lo taseh. Whether it's going to be a positive commandment, like not to put on tefillin, whether it's going to be like a negative commandment, to speak lashon hara. Va'afilu mitzvot shel divrei, even if we're dealing with mitzvot, which are only a rabbinical enactment. For example, on Shabbat, a pen is muktzah. If the father tells me on Shabbat, pick up the pen and put it back down, what does the halacha say? Lo yishma lo, you're not allowed to listen to him. You're not allowed to listen to your father when it goes against the laws of Hashem, whether it's Torah or even whether it's rabbinical enactments. Now I want to ask you guys a question. If I am not allowed to listen to my parents when it comes against the mitzvot of Hashem, who gave us the right to go to other people's parties where they're not your parents, friends, relatives, and to go clearly against Hashem? If you can't go against Hashem when it's your parents, that means you can't go against Hashem with other people also. This is why, Rabotai, it's a humongous problem when you see observant Jews sitting in places where they're not supposed to be. He can tell me all he wants, my rabbi, your rabbi. Ask him to show it to you inside. Rabotai, this is a serious matter. Now, if you ask me, Rabbi, can you sit in a train station or on a bus or in a plane next to a woman, I will tell you yes. It's just when you're dealing with food and drink, there's a lot of problems that come out of this actually. It's a very big problem. To sit on a bus, train, as long as you don't get turned on by her, as long as she's not provocative, she's not immodest, fine, you can sit next to her. But in a party, a lot of things happen. The momentum, the food, the music, the drinks. I want to read for you another halacha where the Shulchan Aruch in Simon Tav Kuf Chav Dalet, no, Tav Kuf Chav Tet, that's 529 in halacha Dalet. Listen what the Shulchan Aruch paskins. He makes a psak halacha. And this is Rav Chaim now. חייבים בית דין להעמיד שוטרים ברגלים שיהיו משוטטים ומחפשים בגינות ובפרדסים ועל הנהרות. The bed in the courts, the Jewish courts, are obligated to establish officers on the high holidays, meaning like on Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, that they should go around and they should be searching the garden, the orchard, the rivers. Why? שלא יתקבצו שם לאכול ולשתות אנשים ונשים ויבואו לידי עבירה. In order for men and women not to gather together to eat and drink, and they can come to do an avera, because that's what brings people to do averas. וכן יזהירו בדבר זה לכל העם. And so to warn with this thing the whole nation. שלא יתערבו אנשים ונשים בבתיהם בשמחה ולא ימשיכו ביין. In one's own house, men and women shouldn't also gather b'simcha with happiness, meaning on the holidays, and they shouldn't be dragged after the wine. Why? Shema yavoa l'dei avera. Maybe we're afraid they're going to come to do sin. And I'm not speaking about sin where they just do l'chaim. I'm speaking about real sin. A husband might sleep with another woman. A woman might sleep with another man. Rabotai, I don't want to open up my mouth. How many problems like this happen every single year? How many women fall in this? How many men fall in this? What do you think the divorce rate is high just because like that? Just because he looks good and she looks good? Rabotai, there's a lot behind the closed doors that you don't know about. Outside, everything looks perfect. But behind closed doors, it's a balagan. Ela yu kulam kiddushim. Rather, he says everybody has to be holy. If you look into Sivkad and Chav Bet in the Mishnah Berurah, the Chavetz Chaim, look what he says over here on the bottom now. Hine be'emet davar zeh hachiyuv tamid la'ashir v'lemchot mishesh biyado. Really, this thing that men and women shouldn't mix together and eat together and drink together because we're afraid they're going to come to the Avera. In reality, this thing is an obligation. It's a constant obligation to warn constantly on this and to protest against these things. Whoever has the possibility to be able to protest against it. Why did the Shulchan Aruch have to say the high holidays? Because on the holidays, there's more problems found on the holidays. That's what the Shulchan Aruch said on the Shalosh Regalim, on Shavuot, Sukkot, Pesach, so on and so forth. But really he says it's a constant obligation on people, not even on regular days, not to gather men and women together. The Sha'ar Tziyun says, "Uba'avonotenu harabim, in our great many sins, nidparez kilkul ze bezmanenu be'eze mikomot gam bi'imot hachol." That this kilkul, that this problem, already breached nowadays into certain places, even during the weekdays. Ve'avon gadol hu. The Sha'ar Tziyun says it's a great sin to have men and women sitting together. Anybody who has the capability to protest against these type of people, not to make these kind of parties, he has every obligation to protest against them.